Ahmad never raised his voice. He didn't need to. His father had taught him that true strength speaks in whispers. But when Jaden mocked Ahmad in the cafeteria about his father being in the Army Special Forces, calling it terrorist training camp, the laughter cut deep. Even Officer Reynolds joined in. "Yeah, and my uncle's James Bond," he smirked. What none of them knew was that their perception of reality was about to be shattered, and not a single one of them would be laughing tomorrow. Part 1. The Weight of Words. The Oak Ridge Middle School cafeteria in Minneapolis was Ahmad Farouk's daily battleground. He navigated it with practiced invisibility, earbuds in, eyes down, blending into the background, until Jaden Mitchell spotted him. "Hey, Ahmad," Jaden called across table 6. "Heard you telling Mrs. Garcia your dad's in Special Forces?" Ahmad removed one earbud. "Yes," he said quietly. "He's in Army Special Forces." The silence lasted 2 seconds before erupting into laughter. Students who didn't even know Ahmad joined in reflexively. Officer Reynolds, the school resource officer, approached. "What's happening here?" "Ahmad says his dad's in Special Forces," Jaden explained, barely containing his amusement. Reynolds studied Ahmad, then snorted. "Special Forces? Really?" He chuckled. "Yeah, and my uncle's James Bond." The cafeteria exploded with laughter. Reynolds gave Ahmad a condescending pat on the shoulder. "Come on, kid. You don't need to make up stories to fit in." Ahmad said nothing. He couldn't block the burning in his ears or the tightness in his jaw. He thought about his father's prayer rug that traveled to 3 continents, or the crescent-shaped scar from Kandahar. But what was the point? By last period, Instagram posts calling Ahmad SEAL Team 6lier circulated. Boys whispered, "Jihadi Jr. in gym." Even Mrs. Garcia asked him to stay after class. "Is everything okay at home?" she asked, her voice gentle but laced with doubt. "Yes," he replied firmly. "My father is in Special Forces." Mrs. Garcia nodded uncertainly. "All right. I just wanted to check in." As the final bell rang, Ahmad felt something shift inside him. Not anger, not yet. Just a quiet heat building beneath his skin. What none of them realized was how quickly everything was about to change. Part 2. Shadows and Steel. Ahmad sat in Mr. Coleman's geometry class the next afternoon, barely seeing the equations on the board. His mind replayed yesterday's humiliation on endless loop. Each laugh, each whisper, each dismissive glance. His father's words echoed in his head. "Truth doesn't need applause, Ahmad." Samir Farouk had always spoken that way, in measured, meaningful sentences that Ahmad collected like treasures. During his father's brief periods at home between deployments, Ahmad absorbed everything. How to stand, how to listen, how to be still without ever saying the word. "Loud men are usually lying," Samir once said while teaching Ahmad to change the oil in their sedan. "Quiet strength lasts longer than any shout." Ahmad's mother, Amina, worked double shifts at the hospital, solid and steady. But it was those rare, powerful moments with his father that Ahmad turned over in his mind when the world seemed determined to make him invisible. He remembered sitting on the back porch during a thunderstorm, watching lightning split the sky, when his father handed him a small compass. "Direction matters," Samir had said, "not just where you're going, but who you are when you get there." None of that translated to middle school social currency. None of it mattered when Officer Reynolds laughed at him in front of everyone. The classroom door opened, interrupting Ahmad's thoughts. Miss Patel, the office assistant, leaned in and whispered something to Mr. Coleman. "Ahmad," Mr. Coleman called. "You're being checked out." "Take your things," Ahmad froze. His mother was working and his father wasn't due back for weeks. Confused, he grabbed his backpack and followed Miss Patel into the hall. "Who's checking me out?" he finally asked as they approached the main office. Miss Patel just shrugged. "Someone's waiting for you at the front." Ahmad turned the corner toward the office and stopped dead in his tracks. Through the glass doors, he saw it. A government-issue black SUV, parked directly in front of the school entrance, engine still running. And next to it stood a man Ahmad would recognize anywhere. The air suddenly felt different, sharper, clearer, as if the world had suddenly come into focus after months of blur. Part 3. The Sound of Silence. Inside the main office, Master Sergeant Samir Farouk stood at the counter, his presence filling the room without effort. His desert camouflage uniform was perfectly pressed, service badges gleaming under the fluorescent lights. His back was ramrod straight, his shoulders square, his boots planted firmly on the linoleum floor. "I'm here for my son," he said, his voice low but carrying unmistakable authority. Ahmad Farouk, 8th grade. The secretary blinked rapidly. Oh, yes, sir. Just one moment. But before she could reach for the phone, Officer Reynolds, who had been refilling his coffee mug by the water cooler, turned around. At first, he didn't make the connection, just saw the uniform and raised an eyebrow. He walked over with the same half-smirk he'd worn in the cafeteria. Military, huh? He asked, coffee mug dangling from his fingers. Yes, Samir replied simply. What branch? Army. Special Forces. Reynolds gave a short laugh, still thinking he was in on some joke. You got ID? He asked. Without changing expression, Samir reached into his breast pocket, pulled out his military identification, and handed it to Reynolds. The officer glanced at it. His smirk vanished. The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable. It was razor-sharp, the air suddenly heavy with unspoken words. You're Ahmad's father? Reynolds asked, his voice now carefully neutral. I am. He, mentioned you yesterday, Reynolds said, clearing his throat. I didn't realize. No reason you would, Samir interrupted evenly. Most people don't. He took back his ID, pocketed it, and extended his hand. Reynolds hesitated, then shook it. Samir's grip was neither aggressive nor weak, just solid, like shaking hands with a mountain. The moment stretched between them, forced eye contact that Reynolds broke first, glancing away as his shoulders tensed. The secretary found her voice again. I'll call Ahmad's classroom. Outside, Ahmad watched the entire exchange through the glass door, unable to move. Why was his father here? He wasn't supposed to be back for a month. Then Samir turned toward the door and their eyes met. In that moment, everything else, the mockery, the disbelief, the day of whispers, fell away. For the first time since yesterday's lunch period, Ahmad didn't feel small. He pushed open the office door. Dad, he said, the word barely audible. Samir gave a small nod. You ready? Ahmad looked at Reynolds, now suddenly busy examining a bulletin board, then back at his father. Yeah, he said, straightening his shoulders unconsciously. Samir picked up Ahmad's backpack, slinging it over his own shoulder effortlessly. Got a few days leave, he explained. Thought we'd head to the boundary waters before I ship out again. Your mother's packing the car? Ahmad didn't smile, but something in his eyes lightened. As they walked out, Reynolds followed them to the door. Sergeant Farouk, he called. Samir turned, one hand resting lightly on Ahmad's shoulder. Part 4, The Weight of Truth. Reynolds stood in the doorway, suddenly looking smaller than Ahmad remembered, less certain, less imposing. The officer's eyes darted between Samir and Ahmad before settling on the father. Reynolds began, I may have misjudged the situation yesterday. Samir said nothing, his hand remaining steady on Ahmad's shoulder. I want to apologize to your son, Reynolds continued, turning to Ahmad. I was out of line. Ahmad felt something shift inside him. Not satisfaction exactly, but a quiet settling, like dust finally coming to rest after being disturbed. Thank you, sir, Ahmad said quietly. Samir nodded once to Reynolds. We appreciate that. As they walked to the SUV, Ahmad could feel eyes on them through the school windows. Jaden and 2 other boys pressed against the library glass, mouths slightly open. Mrs. Garcia stood in her classroom doorway, watching with a mixture of surprise and understanding dawning on her face. But Ahmad hardly noticed. Walking beside his father, he felt himself standing taller, his steps matching the steady rhythm of his father's boots on the pavement. Did you come back because of what happened? Ahmad asked as they reached the vehicle. Samir opened the passenger door. No, orders changed. Got lucky with the timing. He paused, looking directly at Ahmad. Would it have mattered if I did? Ahmad thought about it, then shook his head. No, why not? Because I knew the truth, Ahmad said, even when no one else did. Samir's face remained composed, but his eyes warmed slightly. That's the thing about truth, Ahmad. It stands whether anyone believes it or not. As they drove away, Ahmad watched the school recede in the side mirror. Tomorrow would be different. Not because everyone would suddenly respect him. He was wise enough to know better. But because he understood something now that he hadn't fully grasped before. His father's quiet dignity wasn't about proving anything to anyone. It was about knowing who you are when no one is watching, and remaining that person when everyone is. The SUV turned onto the highway, leaving Oak Ridge Middle School behind. Ahmad felt the tension of the past 2 days melt away as his father reached over and turned on the radio. Your mother made your favorite for dinner, Samir said. That spicy chicken you like. Ahmad smiled, a real smile this time. Sounds good. Sometimes he realized the loudest statement is the one you never have to make. The truth, as his father had taught him, doesn't need applause. Enjoying our stories? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any of our upcoming content.